Here's an update on our top business news this evening. While China is mired in the trade war with the US and Asian markets end the day in the red, it's looking towards Russia. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has just had a meeting with his counterpart Sergey Lavrov in Sochi. The agenda was closely guarded, but they were expected to discuss issues ranging from the Iran nuclear deal to the Venezuela political crisis and the war in Syria. We cross over to Moscow, where our correspondent Dan Ashby has the latest for us. Dan, was anything said about the trade row then between China and the US?
We don't have details at the moment. The press conference was due to start about 20 minutes ago, but looking at the latest feeds and screens, they still have not come out and giving us details of that talk. But trade will be featuring very prominently because, of course, Russia is trying to pivot towards China in the face of US sanctions itself. The breaking news, of course, in the last hour that China is giving retaliatory tariffs against the US, so China having its problems with the US, Russia too, so the two of them are trying to find solutions together. But it's best not to overstate the kind of solutions they could come up with, because they face their own challenges. For one, some Chinese companies are worried about trading with Russia because they're worried they'll be hit by the US sanctions. And although trade is growing to over $100 billion recently, there are still some problems because of the nervousness around those sanctions and because it's very one-sided. Russia tends to import a lot of high-end Chinese goods, but is still just sending out mostly raw materials, gas and oil and things like that. So they have their problems, they need to sort them out, but yes, they'll be trying to come up with solutions in the next hour.
And how about other issues then, such as the Iran nuclear deal and the reported sabotage of Saudi oil tankers?
Well, they've already come out and said they will be talking about the Iran nuclear deal, and we know that Russia and China pretty much see eye to eye on that. They want the nuclear deal to survive, and Russia in particular has come out with vehement rhetoric against the US, criticizing the US for making the world a more unstable place and holding up the US and its dropping out of the Iran nuclear deal as an example of how the US runs roughshod over multilateral agreements. But the real question for China and Russia, I think, is what are they going to do? Because just as I said in my last answer, US sanctions are very effective and they have a big influence, and Russia and China seem impotent to stop those sanctions, achieving exactly what they were aimed to do, which is to stop people trading with Iran. So although they're likely to come out and they're going to try to save the deal, we know already that Tehran has said it wants to begin enriching uranium again, and it appears as if Russia and China don't have that much leverage to stop Iran from doing that. So it'll be interesting to see what they say about it. They'll also discuss the Venezuela crisis, where once again they're on the same side. They both are backing the President Nicolas Maduro, and they'll be talking about Syria and Afghanistan. But details still to come in the next hour.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for those. Thanks very much. Dan Ashby speaking to us from Moscow.